break from this world. Running on a hamster wheel, but searching for something I can't feel. I just wanna be a lost girl and fly. Take a breath, feel my wings spread, levitate above the ground and make eye contact with clouds. Now I'm rising, I'm soaring above it all. I just wanna be free. Finally, finally, I wanna be free. Finally, I wanna be free. Finally, finally, I wanna be free. Finally, finally. I always daydreaming, never imagined I lose my spark. Living in this crazy time, putting back the pieces of my mind. I know how to run from the dark and fly. Take a breath, feel my wings spread, levitate into the clouds. I'm so high above the ground. I'm rising, I'm soaring above it all. I just wanna be free. Finally, finally, I wanna be free. Finally, I wanna be free. Finally, I wanna be free. Finally, high up to a bird. You, I'm rising, I'm soaring above it all. I just wanna be free. I wanna be free. I wanna be free. I wanna be free.
Whenever you're lonely, just pick up the phone and call me. I'll be there. Girl, let me show you, you're my one and only. Like I told you, I'll be there. And if you get blue, I got the loving for you. Yeah, I'll be there. Your heartache, it kills me, but your loving, it thrills me. I'll be there. Whatever tomorrow may hold, I know you're the one for me, child. And when we're together, my love, you give me hope and a way to cope. Yeah, yeah. I'll be there. Ooh, I'll be there. And when I'm at home, I got no one to hold. Won't you tell me I'll be there? If my mind is reeling from the stress that I'm feeling, I need you. I'll be there. I just need your love, and I long for your touch. Won't you tell me I'll be there? Your loneliness kills me, but your loving, it thrills me. Won't you speak those words? I'll be there. your loving, it thrills me. Yeah, I'll be there. Whatever tomorrow may hold, I know you're the one for me, child. And when we're together, my love, you give me hope and a way to cope. Yeah, yeah.
It's a beautiful day in the Tripperhood. A beautiful day for a tripper. Would you be mine? Could you be mine? I think so. How you doing, folks? Good to see you as always. Happy Thursday, wherever you are out there. A very good morning, good evening, good afternoon. All the things that Jim Carrey said. How's everybody doing tonight? I know we're doing something a little bit different today. We're trying to use non-copyright music because, hey, we're live on YouTube as well today. So everybody in chat, say hello to people on YouTube. Hi, YouTube people too as well. We're all friends here. How has everybody's day been? Happy Thursday, as always. Who do we have in here? We've got the lovely Cross the Streams. Welcome in, my friend. I'm sorry that you continue to lose with your gambling, but hey, that's a bit of a problem, my friend. Maybe you should think about that. Listen, I didn't say it was illegal gambling. God, FBI is always on my butt. Swear to God. Naomi, good to see you as always, my friend. Hopefully you're well. Oh, my BFF for the day. Love to see it. Pallywags, great to see you as always, my friend. Con! I sometimes forget Dave plays those awesome tunes on Thursdays. True. Draconic, good to see you, my friend. Hopefully you're doing well. Duncan, welcome in. Seen your name a lot lately. Love to see it. Welcome in as well, my friend. Raina Ray, I saw you 5 minutes ago. Still love you. To this day, still love you. Telethiel, hey to you too. D&D with me, Peter. I figured it out. I have such good news. If people were actually watching us on YouTube right now, you could see their things in chat as well. Who knew? Who knew something like technology? Am I right? My God. Berm, good to see you, my friend. I won't be on time, but I'll be earlier than last night's. Kids say they're tired and going to bed early. Nice. Just put them to sleep. Wait. Not in that way. Just put him to bed. That's the right way to say that. Kaz, I'm glad you're here. Big shout out to Kaz and Con. Another episode of Trippercast came out today, and I gotta say, I love it. I'd listen to it even if I wasn't a tripper. I'd be like, I have no idea who these Careful Cantrip people are, but goddamn, this Kaz and Con, woo, they're killing it out there. Well done, guys. Very, very proud of you. 5-year-old is chilling with YouTube Kids because she's sick and doesn't want to be messed with. It's been a rough day with illness. Please be gentle. Okay. Well, we love you either way, Kaz. Hopefully you are doing okay. Keep the mental health in mind. Make sure you're taking care of that. Nivik, you're back, my friend. Great to see you as always. We don't have giveaway for today. We might. I might just do a giveaway for fun. Who knows? Oh. And the home of the brave. God. Brings a tear to my eye every single time. Unigamer, welcome in, my friend. Great to see you as always. Hopefully you're enjoying your day. TC, great to see you. Hello to you as well. I love it when you do the O and the slash and the O and the 7. You know what I mean? That's just pure internet goodness. Boop-a-doop-a-doop-a-doo. Currently playing Baldur's Gate 3, although I should take a break from the game. Yeah, take a break from the game so you can talk about D&D, because that's what we're doing tonight, folks. You saw my note in Discord a little bit earlier. We had a little bit of an oopsie for an oopsie after Tuesday's episode. And my print didn't work out. I wasn't paying enough attention to it. But hey, these things happen from time to time. It's okay. It's okay. So we're gonna do something a little bit different tonight. So as you guys know, if you watched the stream last night, we are gonna be doing a super secret, non-secret special stream on Saturday, I think at 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Raina, correct me if I'm wrong. And I thought this might be the perfect time to talk to you guys about how I do session prep. A lot of people have asked me that in the past. And I thought, you know, this might be a good time to let people into my madness. I have a pretty standardized way of doing things, and I think it's good enough for anyone to write a D&D adventure that way. I know some people have some issues with, you know, they get worked up, they get too bogged down in the information, and you know, they get lost in it and eventually start putting it to the side. Writing these kind of things, it is a task from time to time. But this way is definitely a lot more manageable. It's way more digestible on a regular basis. And to be honest, I mean, it's helped me a lot where I can kind of come up with the overall structure of the adventure right off the hop. Usually takes me about 20-30 minutes to work out how I want to do the adventure. And then from there, I can just flesh everything out from there. So hopefully you'll enjoy. This is, I guess it can be considered a masterclass from a non-master, but we'll get to that. Lurkin, Twerkin, and Drawn, enjoy Naomi. Hopefully you enjoy the beautiful sound of my voice, even though it's only half good sometimes. How to write an adventure with Draconic. Step 1, Dragon Steps. 2, Dragon Steps. 3, don't know. Step 4, Profit. I mean, you're not that wrong. You're not that far off, my friend. But we'll go through it. We'll go through it in more detail. Maddie, great to see you as always. Now announcing super secret stream. Be sure to tell all your friends and chat buddies, but remember, it's a secret. Yeah. We don't talk about Saturday stream, but tell all your friends about Saturday stream. Hey, Dave, I like that hoodie. Dude, Pallywags, this is one of my favorite Tripper hoodies of all time. Like, top tier stuff right here. I love the only trippers.gov. Makes me laugh every single time I put it on. It's hard to debate whether I like this one more or the one that I made. I lean toward this one though. But I do get some really weird looks when I'm out in public. So in terms of today's session, in terms of today's stream, I want to make this open to you guys as much as humanly possible. So if you have questions as we're going along, if you want a little bit more insight or anything along those lines, just let me know. I'm happy to answer questions. This is one of those AMAs I keep seeing on Reddit. See, I'm cool. I'm very cool. I hang out on Reddit from time to time. You honor me, sir? No, trust me. The pleasure is all mine, Pallywags. So let me ask this question first and foremost. Of the people that are in chat right now, raise your hand or put a 1 in chat if you are a dungeon master or if you've ever thought about dungeon mastering and have ever tried to write your own adventure, not going off some of the source material. The Chad, welcome in. It does work. Surprisingly enough, great to see you. Oh, that's TC. I get it now. Look, TC, you're on screen twice. My God, the technology, we can rebuild him. So, do we want to just jump into it right now? I feel like we've got a lot to cover tonight, and I want to make sure that it's useful for you guys, that you're getting the right information out of it. Also, I just saw on my screen, I forgot to do the shout out to our wonderful, great Grimoire sponsors. They are awesome. They are amazing. They make the greatest minis that I've ever seen. And if you're looking for minis, if you've got a 3D printer, they are the way to go. I think they're also working on an actual storefront on the interwebs, so you can actually buy the minis as well. Anyway, use !GG in chat right now. It'll take you over to their Patreon and go check them out. They are absolutely fantastic, and let them know that we sent you over there. Majestic, great to see you, my friend. Hopefully you're enjoying your Thursday. Just to give you a recap, that if you're just coming in, we are building an adventure tonight. We are going to be working on it for Saturday's stream, so you guys can see all of the chaos that we get into. In terms of starting to write an adventure, I typically, I mean, if it's for campaigns, then I generally have an understanding of where everything left off last time, as should any good DM. If you're not taking notes during the session, then you're might be doing yourself a little bit of a disservice. What I used to do in the past, prior to actually doing any kind of streaming, because obviously that helps a lot in terms of documentation, I can go back and watch the episode in its entirety, and it works out well for me. So I have a recollection, and I can always go back and check out more if I need to. But a little trick that I found pre my stream days is I would just set my phone to the side and push record on the voice part of it, like just make a voice note kind of thing. And I found that was also extremely useful, because then I could still focus on the game. I could make sure I knew what was happening later on when I stopped. It's good because you get all those nuances at the same time. Whereas in writing notes, you're really only jotting things down in terms of point form note taking. You should call these things cantrip your own adventures. Well, the nice part is that we're going to walk through kind of the template that I use. Yes, I do make templates for most of my things to make sure that I have that consistency across the board. We'll talk about it in a little bit more detail, as well as just a general, I have a checklist and then I have my template. And those are the two things that I go through pretty much every single time. The checklist itself, I don't remember where I found it from. It was quite some time ago, but I always find it useful, and it's a good point of reference to go back and say, okay, have I done this? Have I used this? Do I need this? And it's like I said, it's nice to kind of have that checklist there, so you can always check against it to see if there's more things that you can put in there. Welcome back, Berm. Good to see you, my friend. Can confirm it helps. Voice can also keep you from trying to consistently edit yourself instead of putting ideas down. That too. One thing that I find voice notes help with a lot is voice work. If you do any kind of voice work, like I do a lot of voice work within our campaign. I mean, you guys have seen it. It's very helpful to figure out, okay, what exactly did I do in terms of the accent? How did I switch that up a little bit in terms of the cadence of my voice, the tonality to it? Because that's always a good trick when it comes to any kind of voice work for D&D. If you're not comfortable with the actual the accents, whether it be like a German accent or a, I don't know, Polish accent or Scottish accent, whatever the case is, if you're not comfortable doing that, you can switch up your cadences a little bit, or the tonality. Bring it up to your voice at the very front, in the front of your mouth, and then you can be a little child. Or bring it down real low, add a little bit of gruff, and you can change it up. And just with 3 little tips in terms of the actual tone, the cadence, and the vocabulary you use, that can make you thousands, if not hundreds of thousands. Can you imagine? That's actually a great idea. Hold on, let me turn this down just a touch. Music is a little loud in my earballs right now. I want you guys to be able to hear me. That would be great. We can't hear notifications? Ooh, really? Hold on. Oh, that's my problem. Try it again. Raina, put some more bits down, and we'll test to make sure that it works. That's how I get money from my wife. So, I mean, number one thing is definitely, again, voice work. Mess around with cadences, mess around with the tonality, and mess around with the vocabulary, and you never have to worry about any kind of accents. You'll have a huge range of things to work with. That's not the topic of conversation, though. Best way to do it, no, sweetie, I earned that money. Yeah, see? Right? Firm knows. How'd that test go? Did we get it? Did we nail it? Are we good? Hopefully we are. No? Well, that becomes a little bit of a problem then. Hang on. Let me see. Hold on. Technical. I don't know why you guys can't hear it. I can hear it just fine. Okay, well, I messed something up, and I don't know what I did. Yeah, seriously. Someone call Mudcat. Clearly broke something, and I don't know what he did. Just kidding. That's not... Mudcat didn't do anything. All right, so with that said, I think we are going to... Wait, what does this do? I don't know. I've completely lost the plot. With that said, did you accidentally mute it in OBS? No, I was just looking at it. It's like, I can hear it just fine. I don't know why it's not coming through on your guys' side. I must have done something. I'll have to try it out. Nothing on YouTube either. I'm sorry, Blue Wander. Welcome in, my friend. Good to see you. You're just in time. We're just about to get into the meat and potatoes of everything. I hear something really soft. I'm hearing that twice now. Swordplay and Sorcery, thank you so much for the raid. Appreciate you. Thank you for trusting us with your viewers. Great to see you. How was your stream? What were you guys working on? Tell me all about it. We're going to be building an adventure together because I feel like it's something that we haven't, like soft background music. Hello, Raiders. I feel like it's something that we can have a little bit more of a conversation on, where people get a little confused sometimes and a little overwhelmed with session prep and adventure writing, especially if you're doing homebrew stuff. But the goal is, let's take it away from the standard supplements that are out there. Let's get rid of the modules. We all have really cool ideas. So I think that's what, lean into that. If you're a DM, you probably have some great ideas, whether you've got the inspiration online, over a TV show, whatever the case is. Even if you're just playing with messing around with a trope a little bit, go crazy with it. That's the whole point in this, is just let your creativity fly. And hopefully with the framework that we're going to be going over today, you can have a little bit more insight in terms of how easy it can be when it comes to session prep. Love it when people branch out from the modules myself. Exactly. It's just, this is why I am a homebrewer. This is why I'm a world builder, because I have these cool ideas in my head. I can't really draw. There's a lot of things that I can't do, but I can at least write some cool stories from time to time. And to me, that is my creative expression. It's okay to use Deck of Many Things. Is it okay to use the Deck of Many Things? Absolutely. Go crazy with the Deck of Many Things. I mean, the Deck of Many Things is a little bit tricky at times, though. You do, I feel, as a DM whose main focus is to make sure that the players are having fun, I will at least prime them with it. Like, here's something that I'm going to put into my campaign. Do it! Because this is... Just do it! I will do it. Did you guys hear that? Are you hearing the sound alerts at least? Either way. Yeah, prime your players for it. Let them know, because the Deck of Many Things that's a game breaker at time. You can hear that, but you can't hear the alerts. That's so weird. Okay, fair enough. Yeah, so that's the only thing. If you're going to put a game-breaking thing into your session, then at least do the players the favor of being like, hey, I'm going to introduce this. This could take the campaign on a completely different level. So, just it goes back to what we always say. Communication is absolutely key when you're playing at the table with your players. The more communication you have, both on screen and off screen, or out in game and out of game, that is going to be the best friend a DM can ever have. We've talked about trust on this channel many times before, and it allows me... I've built the trust through communications with my players, regular check-ins to make sure that they're comfortable with everything that's happening, asking if they want me to change anything for them. That's a very important part, because I want them to be able to trust me so I can screw with them as much as humanly possible, and they're okay with it. I mean, take Tuesday night session, for example, what happened with Keelan. Before the break, and I won't get into spoilers just in case people haven't watched it just yet. I can do what I did in terms of leaving it on that cliffhanger at the break with Dag, because he trusts me enough that I can do things like that where it seems like I'm putting at a player or their character in extreme potential danger, possibly just killing them outright. I've done that a few times within our campaigns. And they know that I'm not going to do them that dirty. They know I'm going to screw around, because if they're going to cause chaos, I'm going to do the same thing. But they know that I'm never going to outright kill them. They don't have to worry about that kind of thing, and that's all built through trust. That's the main focus. That's what I was doing. I was testing the alerts. Fair enough. My rule is, what is okay is just based on the table. If they like it, go for it. Exactly. If they buy into it, if they agree to it, just run with it. Have fun with it. Just, again, make sure that they're aware of what's going to happen to a certain extent. You don't want to give them a ton of spoilers. But at the same time, once they give you the okay, consent is important, even at the table. Modules, where are we going? We don't need no stake in modules. Not today, my friend. Not today. All right. Where are we going? Let's just get into the meat and potatoes. So let me move you guys over to here. And let me move over to here. Yay, it worked. First time it worked. Why are we getting this thing? Get rid of this thing. There we go. Okay, so first thing that I always start off is the checklist. Maybe we can use a poll when building the adventure. We could absolutely do that. And this is going to be very interactive in the sense of, building the actual session together. I want to make sure that you guys are incorporated as much as possible so you can see exactly how easy this all is. So, as always, I kind of start off with the overall adventure checklist. And these are just the points that I put down to make sure that these are all the things that I want to make sure I'm covering over the course of the adventure. In terms of the introduction, and I'll go through these quickly because I don't think there's anything here. If you are running games or you are familiar with D&D, there's nothing really here that's going to stand out to you at all. But I'd like to make a couple talking points towards that. First is the introduction. I put that first because introduction should be at the first, but generally I don't write the introduction till the very end. I want to make sure that I have everything clear in my head in terms of how the session's going to go before I actually sit down and write the descriptors and the introduction. Next up being just the general background. Again, this is part and parcel with the overall adventure. And really it is just to provide that backstory piece. So I'll include things in there that the players would know of going into it. If you're doing like a one-shot or something along those lines, to try and make sure that they're at least familiar with all of the key components that they would know going into it. That's what I always include with the background piece. In beginning, there was one act story. It was a bare bones introduction, but felt a little too to be continued. So then they created the 2-act story, but it still felt like it was missing any resolution. So now we have a 3-act structure and everything ended happily ever after, or everyone was brutally murdered. But hey, now we know. Now we know. Very true, and surprise. As you mentioned that, Maddie, that's exactly what I use for my actual structure. I use a 3-act structure, depending on how long the session goes for. If I'm planning for a longer session, like I know a lot of people can only meet at certain times. And sometimes there's sessions that run for 8 hours. If there's an 8-hour session that I'm approaching, if it's going to be a little bit more of a marathon, I'll switch it to the 5-act structure, but it doesn't really change much. And I'll explain that when we get to the actual template itself. Hooks being some of the most important part. Again, this piece, the background, the introduction are all things that I wait to do till I'm at least partially way through the overall adventure, so that I know where the hooks can go. I know specific NPCs that are going to be important within the story, and people that they might know beforehand. So that's kind of what I do generally with hooks. I usually start with the next one, which is the key location. And I really start with the environment first, because that's going to give me not only the elements that I can work with, but at the same time, what kind of monsters I'm dealing with, what kind of culture that they're going to be associating with and conversing with. It also gives me the overall theme for the most part, or at least starts giving me the idea of what the theme of the overall adventure is going to be. NPCs, we all know what NPCs are. We can go into a little bit more detail. We'll build a couple NPCs out, but really, I don't go into a ton of detail for NPCs unless they're long-term NPCs. If they're long-term NPCs, I'll flesh them out almost as much as I'll flesh a character sheet out. If we're just running a one-shot or just introducing the NPC and I don't know how long they're going to be there for, I really just focus on those three elements that you're seeing there. The personality, the motives, the relationships. Is this an adventure for Campaign 3? This is, well... Okay, I'm going to spoil a little bit here because you guys have been very good today, and I just want to make sure that, you know, you're rewarded for your good behavior. While it's not going to be directly a session for Campaign 3, I would like to do the session within Neverwhere. I'd like to do it in a completely different area of Neverwhere, just so I can just put more of the world on display for you guys. So, little bit spoilery. Is the session going to be specific to Campaign 3? Maybe, yes or no. Is it going to be canonical? Absolutely. 100% is canonical. Yeah, so anyway, before I get off that note, NPCs, again, if you have their personality, if you have their driving factor, what they really want to obtain, as well as what their relationships are vis-a-vis the players or some of the other characters, some of the other NPCs, whether they be friendlies, allies, enemies, neutrals, whatever the case is. If you have a general understanding of how they fit in the context of the adventure through the relationships and the motives, then you can pretty much run with it. That should give you enough to at least be able to improvise a little bit in terms of when you're having conversations with the players. Just use those as your kind of main building blocks to build off of. And if you're ever wondering, okay, NPC or the PCs have asked me a question, go back to one of those three things: personality, motives, or relationships, and you should be able to draw enough off of those three things where you can have an intelligent conversation with the players. Main quests. So obviously a very important part of the overall session prep. I think that the main quest is kind of the foundation, the bedrock of everything that you're doing. Again, you can start with the key locations and then work your way down towards the quests. That's kind of sequentially how I do it. I generally say, okay, what am I doing for my location? What am I doing for my theme? What do I want the main quest to look like? And then I go back and say, okay, what NPCs am I going to need from that? And then I can start fleshing things out from there. Side quests are just little tiny things that you can add on to your story if you have the time to do it. If it's a shorter session, if it's like a 3-hour session, you're probably not going to get a ton of time to work on side quests. But again, if it's an 8-hour session, then you can easily start to build in some of those side quests. Now, a side note in all of that, when
you know what, dude, I super agree with what's being said. That is something I agree with.
Thank you.
Right there.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you for validating me. I appreciate it. The one beautiful thing about side quests that I really, really enjoy is typically side quests when I'm running a campaign, I will turn around and I will plant them into a session nonchalantly. I might not make note of it in any way, shape, or form, but use that as kind of foreshadowing, as a primer for future things. So side quests don't have to happen within the adventure. You can prime it early and then have that as kind of foreshadowing. You know, a prime example is The Ring. That's all I'm going to say. Again, I don't want to get too spoilery, but, you know, that will lead into things. Tessimos, welcome in. First time chatter. Great to have you here. I have a question, but it's a little off topic. Ask away, my friend. We're doing a bit of an AMA today. So if you do have questions, I am happy to answer them. You're welcome. Sorry for interrupting. No worries whatsoever, my friend. It's usually better to have a big old red arrow pointing toward it. I'd agree for the main quest. For the side quest, I feel like that's just a little extra that you're building on in terms of, you know, maybe some additional rewards, build into some opportunities for role play, or just expand on a subplot, or you know, you can use it to display your world a little bit more to your players. And it's a nice little break sometimes. I've found that, especially in long-term campaigns, if you give them the main quest and they're trucking on down that road, that can get a little weary sometimes. They can get a little burnt out on the main quest because it's so razor focused. But adding side quests in there from time to time, it's really nice palate cleanser. I do like one-shots that don't feature the encounter as much, but they aren't quite as common. Don't feature the encounter as much. What do you mean by that, Con? There's foreshadowing, and then there is five shadowing. Exactly. Moving on down our list, obviously challenges and encounters are very important. That's kind of the, oh, Jesus Christ. It's a Dag. It's a dead Aussie gamer. Welcome in, Dag. Great to have you here. Thank you for bringing your troops over, my friend. How was your game? I popped in for a little bit. I was lurking for a little while. Did you murder anyone? Did you unalive anyone during your campaign? What's going on here? Dag, we're talking about how to write adventures. I'm sure you would have lots and lots of insight to that as well. So right now I am on world building process. I'm on the deities part. Do you have any tips for it? Like, I'm thinking about on how the world starts. Are people going to know about it, or where am I going to start from, like, timeline? Very, very, very good question. When it comes to world building, and this is my rule of thumb and advice for everyone. There's typically two forms or styles that you can use for your overall world building. The first is being the bottom-up approach, where it's a matter of, I'm only going to build as much as the world as I need for the next session, or for the next arc, or whatever you have planned out from a storytelling perspective. The other way that the other style is I think what you're referring to, which is it's more of the top-down approach. And what the top-down approach is essentially you're starting at, like, the cosmic level, where you're thinking about things like the creation mythos, like the pantheon, you know, building out the major countries and continents and everything along those lines. Both are fine. You can use both methods. What I generally tend to do, and what I'm trying to do, we just started to build a new world. I started building it about, I'm going to say 6 or 7, maybe it's over a year now. God, time is weird. It's so wibbly wobbly at times. I'm doing a little bit of a combination of the two. I used the top-down approach to make sure that I had all the major points out, things like the pantheon, things like the major cultures that are involved, the major countries, what type of people inhabit there. And then I'm working from the bottom up as I go through the sessions. So, you know, specific NPCs, and people who are part of factions. Those type of things are what I'm kind of building against. In terms of where to start in your timeline, I mean, really, that's your choice at the end of the day. I think that if you've got some ideas in terms of the pantheon itself, or what deities you want on display, And there's a couple different ways you can do that. It really depends on the size of the Patreon that you're working, or the Pantheon that you're working on. Shout out Patreon, by the way. It really depends what the overall size is. Are you going for a very standard, maybe a more tight Pantheon where all of them are maybe interrelated, kind of like the Greek Pantheon or the Roman Pantheon? Are you trying to flesh it out a little bit more where there's many different types of deities and you've got major deities and you've got minor deities? Either way, think about it in the same sense of mythology in general, right? Mythology, if you look back to it, the gods are really just a representation of things within the world that people don't understand. For example, Thor. People didn't understand how thunder and lightning worked. They just assumed that it was some type of magic. So they implanted a god there. And you can see that in many different ways. Poseidon is the king of the sea. Odin being the god of lightning and the king of the gods. A way to represent that kind of hierarchy within the gods itself. So I think that's first figure out what you want your gods to represent. Figure out what kind of structure you want to it. Do you want a loose pantheon? Do you want a tight pantheon? Do you want just a duality where it's a matter of good versus evil? Do you have only one overseeing god, like a monotheistic, I think is what it's referred to as? And kind of go from there. But if you are going for multiple gods, I would say start with the big ones, the major deities. The major deities are usually a representation of major happenings within the world. Again, storms, magic, nature, oceans. All of these things are things that are easily attributed to gods. And try and think about how you would personify those things. It's probably the best thing that I can give you. And in terms of overall timeline, again, you can really start anywhere on the timeline. But one key important element that I think everybody should do, have a creation mythos. You don't have to include every little bit in detail to it of the entire world, but having a general understanding of how the world was created will help you a lot in terms of your decision making along the way in relation to your faiths, religions, and pantheons. Hopefully that answered your question. Hold on. Is it okay to make players fight a deity? Yes and no. It depends. And I know that's not the answer that you're looking for, Majestic. I think it all depends on the circumstance. Realistically, even a level 20 player party would potentially struggle with a true deity. If we're talking about an actual major deity, then most realistically, they are immortal. So if you're going to have them actually go up against a deity, make sure that you're building some mechanics in of how to take them down from the sense of a major deity. How do you turn their power down a little bit so they're not like a CR 60, 70, 80, 100? You want to make sure that it's a somewhat of a winnable fight, but also at the same time believable. There's a good friend of mine on Twitch. Her name's Mendari. If you haven't checked it out, quick shout out to Mendari. She doesn't do a lot of world building now. She used to be very, very heavy in her roleplay day or in her world building days. I think she's still doing a little bit more from time to time. But she's got a great. I use her example all the time for what happens when you're trying to fight a deity. She has central spots of powers. They kind of act like batteries. They're chairs, essentially, that represent kind of the throneship or the majesty, the divinity of a god. And there's things that need to get done that will basically either destroy or power down the god and the throne itself. So, going back to what I was saying, is it okay for players to fight a god? Absolutely, 100%. Just make it realistic so it feels like they've done something to achieve a point where they have the capability to kill a god. Hopefully that answers your question. I like middle out. Some world cohesion, but nothing where it gets down to quantum mechanics, while low-level stuff so people can glom on it as their biggest sense of reality in the world. 100%. 100%. What I generally tell people to do is have your world building bag. And that's been a huge help to me in terms of my overall world building. The combination of the top-down approach, so I have a general consensus and have that cohesion in the world overall. Doing the bottom-up, so I'm not killing myself in terms of the minutia details. But also at the same time, I have my bag of tricks, my bag of world building set off to the side. And what that is to me is whenever I feel inspired to build something, doesn't matter what it is. It could be a town, it could be a tavern, it could be a new monster, whatever it is. I just kind of build it when I feel like building it. You always want to make sure that as much as possible, world building doesn't feel like a chore, because that's going to burn you out so very quickly. But if you just allow yourself to create when you're feeling creative, when you have that strike of inspiration, just take whatever that is and put it in your bag for a little bit. And, at some point in time, you will inevitably use it. There's nothing that I haven't built in my bag that I haven't been able to find a spot for. And it's really helpful, especially if you're on the fly DMing. If the players kind of go off kilter and just go crazy with it, maybe you expected them to go to this town, but they decided to go to the volcano instead. You'll have this tiny little arsenal that you can put a couple things out directly in front of you and say, oh, okay, they're in this location and here's a monster. How does that fit into everything? Okay, and pull out another thing. Oh, here's a location. It's a dungeon or a puzzle or something along those lines. How does that fit into everything? And it's kind of a plug and play type of way to run sessions. If you're at a point where you're really going to have to wing it, or from time to time during session prep, you can again take stuff out of your bag, go review, be like, I'm not really sure what to do this session. What do I have in my holster right now? Maybe I can pull from that. I was in a game where all the gods were already dead. It was fun. Magic had no divine control. We played a recent campaign, my previous World of Bastia. Most of the gods weren't necessarily dead, but they'd been pushed away from the material plane far enough where... Oh, hey there, bud. How are you? Sorry, our text-to-speech isn't working right now, B-Town. I'm sorry, but he said, what up, eh? If you guys didn't hear that. Yeah, so the gods weren't necessarily dead. Some of them were dead. And there was, because of it was a whole thing. It was the War of Separation, where there was a good faction, a bad faction, etc., etc. But the gods were no more. And magic was starting to wind down a little bit. Had we stayed in the world, it would have been a problem going forward. And one thing that I was picturing before I started building the world that we're in right now, which is Neverwhere, I was potentially thinking about campaign 3 would be the resurrection of magic and how the gods would have come back at that point in time. But I got really inspired with Neverwhere and decided, hey, this is the road that I want to go down. And I was flush with inspiration at that point. So that's why we moved. The ancients made some amazing stories. They really did. They really did. Many cultures used a kind of environmental determinism for their religious beliefs, mythos, but a lot didn't. Many others also used a combination of internal ideas and environmental elements. Yes, absolutely. That's another major piece of the major pantheons, if you will. Emotions. Emotions were always tied to the gods. There was a goddess of love, there was a goddess of hate, a god of war, whatever the case is. So there's ideals that you can put in there too. I would say if this is your first time doing world building, start with the environment though. because I found that when I started doing all this, when I started building my own gods, it was easier for me to get to personify an environmental factor as opposed to trying to personify something like love or hate or jealousy or greed. You can get there eventually, and if you're creative enough to do it, by all means, like, just go crazy with it. Don't hold back in any account. But if you're struggling with it a little bit, at least with the environment, you have visual cues that you can start working on. If your player, oh hey, if you players like that, I don't like to do PvP. Oh, I'm assuming you're talking about the gods. Also, welcome in, LV, mod of the year. Good to see you as always. I love the myths built on nature and the elements, even though it's well-trodden path. You know what? That's fine. You know, if it's something, and this is the thing that I hate, is that people have this weird quip about tropes. Tropes are there for a reason. They're easily recognizable. So, you know, I always like to lean into tropes. I might vary it up a little bit based on the circumstances, but it's so much easier for a player to understand something if it is a trope. For example, in our first campaign, we had a dumb little play on the troll under the bridge. And while I put my own spin on it, it was nice and recognizable to the players. They just immediately understood what it was all about. Oh, troll under the bridge, I either have to pay a toll, it's going to eat me, something along those lines. So it actually helps you as a dungeon master with your level of immersion a little bit more, because it's already embedded within everything. So I encourage people, don't shy away from tropes. Lean into it and make it your own. As they say, every story has already been written. It's just, how do you want to tell that story? And that's the most important part. If you can make whatever the core concept of the story is your own, then you've done great. That's amazing. That's fantastic. You've made something your own and recognizable, and, you know, you're not killing yourself over it. Also, thank you for the shout out. That's my problem with world building. I have so many ideas, and then as soon as I try to write or record them somewhere, the energy and excitement is immediately dissipated. Honestly, Garden, I would say just start somewhere. Even if it's just like putting notes in your phone. If you have an idea, even if it's just one sentence, just start recording them somewhere. They don't have to be fully fleshed out. Give yourself the grace and allow yourself the opportunity to go back and look at things. Because, you know, hey, I've built plenty of things before where it only started as a single idea. Sometimes it only starts as one word, but I write it down, and then when I'm going through things or something else happens where I'm inspired by it, I can go back and look at those notes and be like, oh, that actually fits with this really well. I can flesh this out a little bit more. There's times where monsters have taken me months to actually flesh them all out in the entirety. But if I'm recording them, it gives me an anchor to go back to, so that when I do have a new idea that might be applicable to it, that I have that kind of collection of notes around it to start off with. It makes a huge difference. B-Town, good to see you as always, my friend. That's a common thing, creative. Trying to get the nuts and bolts down can get frustrating. Yeah, and that's why I'm very much for the family of just enjoy what you're doing. If you're not enjoying your creativity, then you're beating yourself up a little bit too much over it. If you're missing an idea, if you're just not feeling inspired, but you have a really cool idea, just put it down somewhere and then let it rest. You know, think about it for a little while and then just stop. Just stop yourself before you start burning out. I can't tell you the amount of times where I've written down a couple points of something, and then I'm just not feeling it at that point in time. There's something missing. I'm not feeling the spark at that point. I could continue to try and force myself to continue to write, but that's going to do a disservice to me. It's going to feel forced, and it's not going to turn out the way that I want to. So I'll just stop, I'll walk away, and, sometimes it happens while I'm sleeping. Sometimes I'll just be sitting there in the middle of the day, and it'll come to me. Just embed the thought into your mind, the part that you love the most, the part that really got your juices flowing, and then allow it to breathe for a little while. And come back to it maybe a day or two later. Look at the page again. Is there something that I can add here? Look, think about it like a, what the hell are they called? Those boards. Memory boards, storyboards, not storyboards, but they're like boards that you post things to. And it's supposed to be a recollection or a reminder of something. Think about it in those terms. You don't even need to have it on plain paper. Get away from lined paper. Just get a blank sheet of paper, put your one idea directly in the middle, and then just have things other ideas hovering around it. Eventually some will keep in, some won't make it in, but at least you're doing the creative element that feels good to you. Can't wait to make this adventure with you. We're getting there, my friend. Let me just catch up with chat and we'll continue on. War building on a Thursday Eve. Good to see you, B-Town. How you doing, brother? It's okay to copy something you didn't use from previous campaigns to the next? Absolutely. 100%. I mean, if it worked for you, again, it's the kind of the same idea around the tropes. You can use the same trope over and over and over again. Just give it context. That's the most important part. If it's a monster that you've made before, sure, absolutely. Use it over and over and over again. If it's a town, just give it a different name. Maybe switch up one or two things. Change the color of the coins. Make the banners have a different sigil on it, but it can be the exact same thing. I mean, don't feel like as soon as you build something and use it that you have to throw it away. Always keep it in your arsenal. Take it out of your bag, the metaphoric bag that we were just talking about. Take it out of your bag, use it, but always put it back in. Don't throw it away, because you can reuse things. And especially if you have something that you're really proud of, what's the point in showing it once? Why would you want to waste not using it? 100%. 100%. Yeah, D&D with me's got it. Absolutely. Sup the best DM daddy in all of the land. I appreciate you, B-Town. Papa's here, my friend. You also don't have to nail down everything. The players can help with infrastructure simply by existing in the space. Yes, that is it's a key point that actually I made note of that in our campaign diaries video that I did this week. One element that I'm really pushing towards in terms of this campaign is making sure that the world building involves the players more so, and the story involves the players more so. It's not going to be on rails. It's going to be sandboxy, but ideally I want to make the sandbox more narrative. Personally, I'm scared to decide my ideas. I don't want to remove possibilities of the adventure. Again, you gotta let it out, guys. When I see comments like that, and I'm not trying to single you out, Holepa, because I love you wholeheartedly. Great to see you as always, and I'm happy to see you here. Stop putting these mental blocks in your way. It doesn't have to be perfect. Every single time I write something or create something, I have to go back and edit it. But I never, ever, ever put chains around my ankles or my wrists while I'm building it. If I do that, then I'm just doing myself a disservice. Let your creativity flow. Let it go. Don't hold back in any way, shape, or form. Again, blank piece of paper, no lines on it. Big note directly in the center of it. This is my idea. And then build around it. And then when you feel like you have enough, then start refining, then start molding it into the shape that you want to see it in. But by God, if you're looking for perfection right off the hop, you're just doing yourself so dirty. I know people who knit who will get a super awesome skein of yarn. I don't know what that means. I'm assuming like a kind of yarn, like something like that. And then they'll put that yarn into their TBD bucket because they need to figure out what to do with it. And that's okay. That's okay. Having the tools ready at your disposal, absolutely. Yeah, Kanban, for those who know. That's exactly right. Do it in an agile sense. Might not get back to the yarn for years. 100%, but it's still there. Cast hydrate, I can do that. I just dumped it all over my face because I was very excited. But we'll also do some stretching. We've been sitting here for how long? About an hour now? Let's do our D&D yoga, folks. Everybody up. Everybody up. I have cat hair on me. Jesus Christ. All right. We're going to go over to this side. Stretch it out over on this side. Whoa. I'm about to give a free show over here. Stretch over on this side. Oh. This one's called the Prancing Unicorn. Yep. And then over on this side. This one's called the Mushroom Tango. And there we go. Campaign diaries like Vampire Diaries? You can't say that in this chat right now, B-Town. My wife is so obsessed with Vampire Diaries, I'm beginning to worry about her. I'm pretty sure we're gonna have to hold a tripper, our first tripper intervention ever. High narrative sandbox takes a lot of trust at a table, which you have. It does, and it's gonna be something that's very difficult, and well, not difficult, but it might be. I don't know yet. This is the first time I've ever even imagined this concept of a narrative sandbox. I think I've got the chops to do it, but we'll see. It's going to definitely teach me more through the fire on how I do my DM improvising, which I'm very excited about. What's your opinion on DM PCs? I mean, if you feel like you need to use them, then sure. I don't have an opinion one way or another. I don't really use DM PCs, more so because I just feel like my NPCs are my PCs, is my DM PC, if you will. There are, and maybe I'll talk about this in another stream one day, but I have specific roles for long-term NPCs. They can be guides, they can be mentors, anything other than like the general quest giver. Those travel along, those can travel along with the PCs, but I don't really consider them PCs. Like I don't have a character sheet or anything for them. I might have a couple spells here or there, or allow them to do something in combat with them. But for the most part, I keep it very basic from that point of view, because I feel like the DM PC, a prime example of what a DM PC would be was Jed from Campaign 2. Very much a central point of story, of mechanics, all of those kind of things. But I never really considered him my PC. He was just a very long-term NPC that I had a purpose for. So I'm not against them. I'm not saying that at all. If you want to run a NPC or a DM PC in your campaign, go for it, man. I mean, it's your game too. If that's what you like to do and that's how you have fun playing, yeah, by all means, it's your game. Perfection is arbitrary ideal that will only trip you up if you think that's the only way to create. Exactly. I've given no less than 3 adults confidence to become GMs simply by seeing me bumble along and everyone having fun. Exactly. And I hope to a certain extent I can provide that for some people. And that's really what the point I'm trying to do with this entire stream. We will get back to it. I do promise we'll get back to the meat and potatoes of it all. But I want to show you guys how easy it can be. The only reason why I'm a good DM, I'll tell you my secret right now. Number 1 is I think I have good ideas. I think I have cool ideas. I'm willing to take the time to edit those ideas, to refine them so that they're consistent, cohesive, and have a purpose. And number 3 is that I've built trust with my table. Those 3 things is really what makes me the DM that I am. All the other stuff is just bells and whistles. The voices, the descriptions, all of that kind of stuff, bells and whistles. Anyone can learn it. I mean, anyone can learn any of it. It's not hard to be a DM. You just have to give yourself the grace. Again, you're never going to be perfect off the hop. That's not how this life works. But if you're willing to put in a little time and effort, if you're willing to show a little bit of your humility, anyone can do this. I'm up your nasty man? Dear Lord, McClever, welcome in, my friend. What happened to the twerk redemption? When was there a twerk redemption? All right, you guys need to go over to our OnlyFans. Fancy journals every time I buy one. I never use it. It's why I buy a cheap composite notebook. I mean, whatever works for you. I've written on my hand before. Remove the word perfection from your vocabulary. You have personal limits. Work to exceed it. Yeah, don't try and be perfect. Just try and be a little bit better than last time. That's all you need to do. Like one little itty bitty piece later, or the next time around. You know, maybe there was a description that you felt like you could elaborate a little bit more on. Do that. That's all you need to worry about. And give yourself the grace to learn it. Maybe you want to start doing more voice work. Try a little bit different. Make your voice a little bit lower. Make it a little bit higher. Go out on a ledge. Try an accent. Yeah, I don't know why that sounded weird when I was saying it. But this is the kind of things I'm talking about, guys, is that you have to give yourself grace. You have to give yourself the time and room to learn these kind of things. It took me years to figure out how to get to where I am. And, you know, that's all I can say. And I'm far, far, far from perfect. I'll never reach that point. But I'm very happy and proud of where I am. I use a DMPC to help set a roleplay tone and establish a sense of comfort sometimes. That works too. I mean, it's an arsenal it's part of your arsenal. You can use whatever you want. By all means, if you want to use a DMPC, go for it. And it really depends on how you're using it. I mean, you could technically say that Jed was a DMPC, but at the same time, you could probably say that Jeremy is a DMPC, even though he's a pig. So I guess we just call it different things. Haven't got to campaign 2 yet? You got lots of time, my friend. So I was in a game where most of the NPCs were political figures in high society, so they were focused of the story more so than the average player, which reminds me of your game. Interesting. Okay. I mean, again, it's all dependent on what purpose that NPCs has. That makes me want to try DMing again. I think you should. I think everybody should try. Just gonna keep DMing and use NPCs for what I want to do, like Captain Robert does. 100%. Go ahead. Go crazy with it. Again, there's no hard and fast rule behind any of this stuff, guys. This is your game. You gotta think about it as it's your game. If you're the DM, then whatever you decide, as long as you, again, going back to what I was saying earlier, as long as you've built that trust, as long as you have consent from your players, it's fine. Go crazy with it. I mean, hell, it's a fantasy game for a reason. Captain Robert is the man. He's great at DMing, PCing. You know, I gotta check out more of Captain Robert's stuff. I feel like I'm doing myself a disservice. All right, I caught up with chat. I think we can start. Diving a little bit more into the meat and potatoes here. Okay. So let's whip through this quickly because I didn't realize how long we've been spending on all of this. Challenges and encounters. I don't think I need to really get into details on that. There's social encounters. There's wilderness encounters. There's puzzles. There's combat. I think if you're writing a session, you probably know what an encounter is. Treasures and rewards. Always want to make sure that you're rewarding your players with something. It can be magical items, gold, other valuable loot. Another thing that you can use as a reward that I should really put on there that I don't know why I haven't, but information. Information can be worth its weight in gold. So there's nothing, if you want to use that as your reward, by all means, that's a great motivator depending on what's happening within the session. Twists and turns is something that I like to consider. Again, it's 100% dependent on how much time I have. If it's a long-term campaign with multiple sessions, or if it's a one-shot, generally I'll do a little twist or turn. And again, I'll go back to the example from Tuesday night's game, where it seemed pretty straightforward of where everything was going. But then something happened. And actually, Peter, D&D with me, was the one who kind of put me onto this a little while ago, where butts are very important. We should put that on a shirt. Butts are important. Where's Paluwags when I need him? Also, Danger Muster, welcome in, my friend. Great to see you. Hopefully you're having a good Tuesday so far. We're about to get into a little bit of session prep. We're walking through the elements of an adventure checklist first before we really dive into the session prep itself. I think it's because he's very good at knowing when to have this DMPC step back. I should be clear, the term DMPC can be applied strictly or loosely. I mean it a bit loosely. Okay, I understand what you're saying. I mean, I've never played as a player with a DMPC in the game. I've seen some people utilize them, and mostly because they're smaller tables. It's like 3 people at the table, and they felt like they had to include a PC in there just to round it out a little bit more. Speaking of butts, just making it round a little bit more. You know what I mean? But I felt like it took the attention away from the players that they were running it. Wasn't really, I don't know. It because they described it as the DMPC and then had such a pivotal role as a character, like they were an actual party member. Well, they were an actual party member. I don't know. It just kind of didn't feel good to me. Because again, the story should be about the heroes. I'm not the hero. I'm the facilitator. I'm like the narrator of all of this. To the point of where there was a session where my NPC Jed from campaign 2 got the final hit on an enemy. And it really bothered me. And you can tell, I remember watching Critical Role once where Matt was running a DMPC. And he got the final hit on something. And you could tell he didn't enjoy doing it. He felt like he was taking something away from the players. And that's how I feel. Because I don't look at it as DM versus player. That's never my intention. I'm part of their team. I'm team PC all the way. I put the challenges in front of them. I put the enemies in front of them, but I'm rooting for them. I'm always rooting for them. So for me to take the steal the kill from them, I wasn't a big fan. But again, to each their own. I only have one DMPC. He is a wandering historian who can't stop talking about the history of the place they were walked through. Okay, but then let me ask you this, Holepa. What's the difference between an NPC and a DMPC in your mind? My DMPCs always die. They help out, then poof. Again, where are we defining? Where is the line between DMPC and NPC? Because I think that's an important distinguish. So for me, a DMPC has a fleshed out character sheet, where NPC is an NPC that you've built, where you might not have it fully statted out. I'm having trouble coming up with a backstory for a character. What's the character? Killstealin? That's a paladin. Or paddlin. Good to see you reading aloud. I've learned I really don't like DMing when the players think I'm against them. I want to be with them. 100%, 150%. Again, it's built around that whole trust thing. And I feel like if I'm directly the adversary all of the time out of game, I mean, it's okay I'm running the villains, right? That's important. You need to be running the villains. You need to be creating the challenges, the trials, the tribulations, all of those type of things. As the DM, you have to be doing that. But I find that when you look at it more as I'm building, this is kind of my mantra when it comes to dealing with a party. It's my responsibility to take them from bumbling little level 1 heroes to heroes that are going to save the world. And if that's the case, then I need to put them through trials and tribulations to prove to themselves that they are the heroes of the world. Because if I just give it to them on a silver platter, it doesn't feel the same. It feels forced. It's like I'm just giving, it's like, well, I've just got plot armor at that point in time, and it's not really fun. So there's a great book out there that I recommend any DM read. It's called Playing Dirty by the author's pen name is John Wick. Look it up, check it out. It's a phenomenal book. Its whole concept is how to be a dirty DM and not a killer DM. There's a big distinction between the two, folks. A killer DM is what we were just talking about. That's, DM versus PC, or no, DM versus player, not DM versus PC. Big distinction between the two. A dirty DM is exactly as I just described. This is someone who uses all of the tricks in the book to make the character want to quit, because that's what it takes to be a hero. The prime example they give within the book is, someone tell me it's the main character from Die Hard. John... Who is it? John McClane. Thank you, B-Town. John McClane is the perfect example, okay? And what I mean by that is, in all of the Die Hard movies, he first starts off wanting to call the cops. I don't want to be the hero. I need to call the cops. I need to figure this out. And as the story progresses, he's always put up against things. He's put up against his trials and tribulations till he gets to the point where he understands, I am the hero that needs to get this shit done. They pushed him at every angle. He tried to walk away from it until he believed he was the hero. And that's the whole consensus around it, is that you want to put those challenges and trials in front of your players so that they feel like they've earned the role of the hero of the lands. Because God Almighty, that is what makes it satisfying to any player. As a storyteller, as the DM is the storyteller, that is the most... If you can get them to the point of where they believe that they are meant to be the heroes, it not only invests them in it, it gives them... it automatically gives them built-in claim to things, and they just feel better about it. They feel like they've earned it. God, I'll tell you. And as a DM, watching that happen to your friends around the table where they step up, fucking explosions in the background, not looking back, capes waving in the wind, head held high, and you can see it on all of their faces. You just know, it just clicks in that moment for everyone at the table. Oh, I've had it happen a few times in my games, and I promise you, there's no better feeling. It makes it all worthwhile. Trust me. Whew, okay. Give me a second. I need... Just gonna go ahead and crack one of these open again. Didn't hear nothing. Oh God. By the way, friends, my 50th DM session is Monday. I started 1 year ago. B-Town, you know how it goes, brother. You know how it goes. Thank you so much for the 100 bits, my friend. Congratulations, Con. 100 sessions in. I'm just proud of you for keeping track of it all. That's, whew. God. I have no idea how many sessions that I've run. I really wish I would have thought about this and like kept a tally. I mean, I can go back and look at YouTube and stuff. I guess I've done 125 with Careful Cantrip and then whatever's happened before that, but I have no idea. But congratulations, my friend. Keep up the good work. If you're 50 sessions in, you're doing all of the right things. Pathfinder keeps track of tables for you, and I know peeps that have 5K or more games, and they love it. Oh my god. Oh, that's not Pathfinder. What does PFS stand for? Can I recommend a book for DMs? Absolutely. GMs, DMs, interchangeable. Con, I'm excited to play with you now. I didn't know... Con, you're running a game? And you didn't even tell me? Well, we're not friends anymore. I'm kidding. Love you a lot. I've done 3 one-shots, 19 in one campaign, and 28 with my new group. Well done. Just wait till you see what I've planned. Ooh. Dave, you aren't qualified. God damn it. Uno Reverse, it was Pathfinder? Damn it. All right. Caught up with chat again. The last key points, obviously conclusion, a big point, just to wrap it all up, to make sure that all the resolution is there. You've got out all of the points that you need to, and then you're kind of done. You're wrapped up. And then last but not least is just additional notes of things that you might need to know. Little bit of reminder of cultures or things that might be applicable throughout the session. There is the checklist. Before I move on to the next section, do you have any questions about anything that we've talked about up to this point? I'll put all of them on the screen right now. Game Master Book of Random Encounters. I think I actually have that sitting on my shelf over there. There's another one that I would recommend. Ooh, if you're a world builder, there's another book that is absolutely fantastic. I'll have to find the name. Raina, if you're in chat still, there is a book upstairs. I think it's called 365 Days of World Building. But it's essentially like little exercises that you can do every single day. Just little tiny things that you can scribble down inside of it. And it's really cool. It'll flesh things out. Yeah, look, can you look for it? It's like a little tiny book. It's not big. It's thick, but it's not big. We will have to coordinate events. Can't wait. Good times. Gen Con is going to be amazing. Secret set of unofficial panels. I mean, I think we're going to do something like that. We are going to have our official meetup at Gen Con for sure. That is something that we're definitely going to be doing. But I think we're also going to be doing some stuff outside of it. But you'll find out. My character is a satyr that is a wild magic sorcerer. What is the setting that you're playing in? What is the feel of the campaign that you're going for? Oh, you found it. Oh, it's actually a D&D book. Okay, she found it for me. World Builder's Journal. I know it's backwards because my camera's flipped. But this is a great little book. Every single day you have like a prompt inside of it. And again, you can't really see. But it gives you a long note. So you can just pick it up whatever time you want. Just be like, hey, I just flip to a page. Or just do one page at a time. It's fantastic. And it gets the creative juices flowing. It's like, I've used it before as just kind of a warm-up kind of thing. I've been meaning to look at it. I would. It's fantastic. I hope so, Dave. You all deserve to be able to enjoy Gen Con off the clock. I don't think we're ever off the clock at Gen Con Bally, but maybe we can. I would love to. Man, maybe we can. We'll look into it. I'd love to set up like just if we can get I don't even know if it's possible to do. Everything books really quickly. But maybe we could rent out a space in like a restaurant or something along those lines where we can all go have a couple drinks, chat, mingle, have a good time together. I don't know. We'll look into it. We'll keep you guys posted. All right, B-Town's on it. B-Town, let me know. But like if no, don't possibly look into it and then let's chat offline and see what we can come up with. I know B-Town is local to the area, so I'm gonna ask him just because he's got feet on the ground. But let's just see first, and then we'll talk about it offline, B-Town. Okay, let's hop into the actual adventure itself. Adventure time! Yay! It's really just what you think of when you think D&D. It's a regular high fantasy campaign. Has your DM given you any indication of any of the themes or anything that go along within the campaign? Like, is it a horror? Is it going to be just general high fantasy? Has he given you a map of the world? Like, has he given you anything? Or she, or they? All right, so this is basically my template that I use, okay? First off is my introduction, and that's really kind of the background. It's generally where I do my spiel at the very beginning, which is meant for the priming. I give a little bit of background. Again, that's going to be NPCs that they know. It's going to be, general information that they're familiar with. Those sort of things in terms of the background. Background is essentially what the players know. Quests being what is the major quest that we're working on here, and what is the hook that's going to draw them in. The summary section is basically where I'm going to be starting to talk about everything. That's where I'm going to put my notes, and most of the time I'll write out kind of a pretty decent sized paragraph to prime everybody. So that's what I'm actually saying at the table. We have just talked about it. We haven't even done a session 0. I would wait until session 0 then, try to get a little bit more information on the world, because otherwise you're just going to have kind of a generic thing behind it that may or may not really be applicable to the campaign. So I would sit down and talk with your DM, ask them kind of what you can expect from the campaign, what kind of themes you're working on, where in the world are you going to be talking or working through. And then you can start figuring out, okay, where is my character from? And then build up from there. The other thing is that there's lots of resources online in terms of like questionnaires. I think you can look up like backstory questionnaires. And that will prompt you with a ton of questions that will help you to build it out. And there's lots of good ones out there that'll ask you questions, the general stuff of like, do you have any brothers and sisters? Are your parents still alive? What do your parents do for a living? What do you do for a living? And then more kind of ideal stuff. How do you feel about religion? How do you feel about magic? How do you feel about murder? These kind of things that will help you to flesh out your character a little bit more. And then again, compiling all of that, all of the brainchild ideas to a cohesive story. Let the creativity flow. If you want to use prompts are totally allowed and encouraged. And then from there, then go back and do your editing. I feel like editing is almost as important as the actual creative part of it. So we have heard about the Emerald Empire, or we have been to Startier Village. Any other starter locations you might have in mind in Neverwhere? Before we dive into specific places, let's talk about the overall environment. What kind of environment do we want to go in? Do we want to go nice and warm and tropical because we are in the winter and winter sucks? Do we want to deep dive into that where we want to go full Arctic mode? Do we want to make it a city? Do we want to make it a volcano? Do a poll? Okay. Doop-a-doop-a-doo. Do I need to do? Oh, I need this. Okay. Manage poll. What environment? We have Arctic. Oops. Arctic. Tropical. Actually, let me get you guys back up on screen so I can see your suggestions for a hot minute. We've got Arctic, we've got Desert Volcano, we've got Water Temple. Okay. Desert Volcano. We can do underwater. I got room for one more. Someone give me one more location or environment. Arctic volcano, snow. Arctic volcano and snow kind of fit in with Arctic. Mushroom fungi biome, forest, urban. Okay. Urban or jungle? I'm going to put jungle and tropical together. We can kind of mishmash there, and then we'll go urban. All right, I'll set it for 1 minute, and poll is starting now. Have at it, folks. Let me know where we're going to start it. Oh, Astral Plane would have been a good one, too. Sorry, Powers, you came in a little late. Oh, looks like we're going urban again. Oh, Arctic's. Oh, Arctic's coming in hot. Oh, shit. It's a tiebreaker. Ooh, Arctic urban. Interesting. You guys love tying polls. Snow biome, best on biome. How are you getting on, Dave? I'm doing well. I'm doing well. There should be a song about the city being a jungle. I need to get on that. I think so. Does no one want to play what is arguably the worst part of every platformer game? No? Love for one for underwater? I guess not. Perfectly balanced as all things should be. Okay. In terms of our location, we are going to be starting in Arctic urban. So that brings up something interesting. There's 2 locations within Neverwhere that would probably fit that pretty well. And I'll leave it up to you guys to decide. One's in chat if you want to go to Wonderland. 2 in chat if you want to go to the country of Grimm. Wonderland is very militaristic. It is very much a it's very much a war-torn country to a certain extent, where Grimm is essentially a country of monsters. Okay, we're going to Grimm. So with that said, there are a lot of there's a lot of different things that we could do within Grimm. We could really, the 2 major ones that stick out, there's typically, within Grimm, there are tribes of monsters. The monsters themselves are kind of mingled together. Vampires hang out with other vampires. Lycanids hang out with other lycans. But there is one group who is adamantly against the monsters there. The Golden Guild Paladins. Who, to a certain extent, are... Oh, hey, buddy. Danger Mustard. Welcome in, my friend. They are very much zealots, where they believe that their thoughts and their ideals rule all. So the question becomes, which side do we want the players to be on? Do we want them to be more monster side, or do we want them to be more Golden Guild Paladin side? One's for monster, two's for Golden Guild. Are players making new characters? Yes, they are brand new characters. Yeah, because we're going to be using an entirely new system. We're going to be using the Saga system on Saturday, so we have to do that. I think 2's beat 1 in this case. All right, so far we've got. Going to be urban. It's going to be in Grim, and our PCs. Whoops. Our PCs will be monster races. Cool. I love it. Which means they're. I guess we have the option now of, do we want to go tribal with it, where it's one tribe against the other, or against the Golden Paladins? Or it could be a combination of both. I think we're going to do a combination of both. So now we're starting to flesh it out. Okay, so Act 1. We'll start off with the tribal element, i.e. tribe versus tribe. And they will be arguing over some type of resource. Battling over... I like some shades of gray. Paladins are so fun to roleplay even now, even if they don't choose that class specifically. One of my favorite NPCs, Sir William Titanus, he was a paladin and he was something. He was loosely based on a character known as the Tick. Did you flip the choices? I thought 1 is monsters and 2 was paladins. Is that what I said? I thought it was 1 was monsters and 2 was paladins. Oh, wait. You're right. Okay. So that changes things. I did flip them. Okay. PCs will be part of the Golden Guild. And this still works. So I think if we're going to do it that way, if we want to make it urban, that a roaming tribe of barbarian monsters are attempting to sack a local town. Paladins being called in to assist. So why we can still make it so that there is something within the town that the roaming tribe of barbarian monsters are trying to get. Yeah, I thought we were going monsters, but apparently that's, we didn't want to go down that road. That's okay. Oil. Let's make it a little bit more mystical than that. Snacks. They could be retrieving one of the members who's been taken. It's winter, maybe a heat source. Ooh, I do love that. Yep. Okay. Now, how memey do I want to get with this? Because we could say that they are... town is known for their magical tacos and snacks. A specific recipe that is known to eat someone. A little matchstick girl, let the sadness reign supreme if is grim as fuck. Jesus. I don't know if I want to go that dark with it. I guess we could. What are the themes that we're working with here? Do we want to make it dark and gritty? It's a good question. Or attempting to steal the town's magical heat source. And I will leave what that is as a little bit of a spoiler-free piece. Go dark, it's grim. Every time she warms the town, she gets sicker. They must have her or the town. Or make a third path? Dear Lord, Bally. I am seeing a whole nother side of you tonight. For one shot, I'm not sure about gritty. If it's going to be gritty, why not set it in Shadowfell? This world doesn't have a Shadowfell. Is the area generally dark and gritty? Is it named Grim for Grim like Grim Fairy Tales? Yes. Mystical Hearthstone. Hearthstone, that claim is tribe's ancient ancestral artifact. I like that idea. I know what to do. Okay. We are going to incorporate all of it. So we are going to turn around and say, monsters are attempting to steal back ancient magical heat source that provides warmth to the town. And this is where we're going to put our twist in. The magical heat source has survived within a body of one of the townspeople. No. magical heat source is one of the elders of the tribe that the town has been keeping alive and captive for generations. That's dark. That's pretty grim. Oh, you guys, you're getting cut off. Hang on. Maybe every time they use the heat source, they steal the heat from another. Let's be honest, the players are going to make the stream insane chaotic no matter what you put in front of them. I mean, you're not wrong. They are just going to blow up everything in front of them. Okay. Okay. And we'll say that the players must choose to save the town or save the monster. All right. That's a good start. What's a good name for this town? What's your favorite monster? Mine is Ogre Howda. I would say that my favorite monster, I know it's very cliche, but at the end of the day, I gotta throw it out to my Displacer Beast. Displacer Beasts to me are just so badass. I mean, big cats of prey already are, whew, they will mess you up in real life. You add the abilities of a Displacer Beast on there, nothing is beating them. I love your process. Thank you for sharing. This is generally how I do it. I just sit down and I start putting ideas down. Again, all of the magic happens in the editing. I'm basic owlbear. Love them so much. Not a bad answer. What about your favorite race? Warforged. 100%. Perhaps a third path not fully fleshed out, like a high DC nature arcana check for nearby heat sources, but don't make it obvious unless they really push for it. I think you're starting to dive into it a little bit too quickly, Bally, because there aren't even nature and arcana checks within the system. Town name, Iron Henry, Hulda, the Shroud. Let's make it a little bit more meaningful. Let's give something that's cold. Minus Turtle or Variant Human. Variant Human is one of the best, mechanically speaking. I thought y'all were still 5e, just in a new universe. Nope, this is so this is actually going to be a sponsored stream from the makers of Saga. They are starting their Kickstarter very, very soon. So they've given me their source material to start off with, and I'm going to show you guys what it's like. Frostbite Forge. I love that. I don't know if I'll use that for the actual city name, but it will be used. Frostbite Forge. I like Frostbite Hills. That ties in nicely. Or just Frost Forge? I like that even more. So we're starting off in Frost Forge. And because this is Act 1, let's start it off right. Let's start it off with the PCs have to carve their way through some of the advancing monster scouts to make it to the city. Once threat is gone, the city will allow them through the gates. Where they will They will meet the town guard captain and mayor slash alderman slash representative of the city. So we've got town guard. I guess we can just call it the guard captain. And we'll just call it mayor for the time being. Both are willing to assist party, but not willing to tell them what the heat source is. So there'll be a little bit of a combat encounter to get them started, and then a social encounter. And the enemies, what do we want to make the enemies? We've got a plethora of monsters to choose from. Do we want to make them aberrations? Do we want to make them dragons? Do we want to make them beastly? Do we want to make them humanoid? Do we want to make them fey? I mean, the easy one would be like a Yeti type creature. Aberrations. Okay. Island of Dr. Moreau style mutants. Ooh, that would be interesting. And that kind of falls in line with the aberration piece. Okay. Aberration slash mutanty monstrosities. Ninja Turtles? Okay. So that's the primer. So they would have been sent by their own captain to protect the city and kill the tribe with the reward of leveling up in the guilds, i.e. this is a test to show that they are ready to run their own crews. So that would put them closer to, I would say, like in D&D terms, like a level 5 to 7, and I can use that as a baseline for my monsters. So say this is level, oops. Level 5 to 7 or equivalent. All right, so players come in, Act 1, players come in, they immediately start in a cool combat sequence where they're tearing through these aberration mutiny monsters that are trying to attack the town. They're barricading the door and the monsters are trying to beat it down. They take out the monsters, they come in, they meet with the mayor and the town captain, ever so thankful. Monsters are trying to get to their heat source. The monsters are monsters have built their camp at the foot of an Arctic volcano. There we go. I worked it in. Hey, Naomi. What's up, bud? I heard Ninja Turtles. I love TMNT. Nice. Town name Coldburn. Totally not a synonym for freezer burn. I like the name Coldburn, but I want to use that for something else. I think I'm going to use that as the leader of the monsters. And this is where Act 2 comes in. And this is important. This is very, very important. So if you're still paying attention, this is where you need to listen. When it comes to the 3-act structure, you never want to do the and then. And what I mean by that is like, you don't want to do story beat and then story beat and then story beat. It doesn't make a lot of sense. It takes all the way up to the end for it to come to its natural conclusion. You want it to have purpose as you're going through it. So what I generally like to do is I'll have Act 1 and it'll act as like that primer. Where are we going with this story? What is the baseline for all of it? And then I call Act 2 the but. So what I mean by that is that they're going along, they're following along, doing what they're supposed to be doing, but then this happens and it creates this new dichotomy within the session. It can be a twist, it can be a turn, but it's something that creates a level of contrast to what you've already put them into. So it makes them think about it a little bit more. So what we're going to do here is essentially party will make their way to the Arctic volcano, where they will learn the truth of the heat source that the tribe of aberrations are trying to rescue one of their own from the town. Now we've put a moral dilemma in place. Okay, well, I'm part of the Golden Guild. I'm meant to be killing monsters, but the monsters aren't evil. The monsters are, in fact, they're trying to rescue someone that's being exploited. How will the players deal with it? Yukon Cornelius does a lore drop. Well, I like the name Coldburn. I love the name. Tribe chief is known as Coldburn. Now, realistically, being paladins, this is going to screw with them. Or being part of a paladin guild is definitely going to screw with them. What if the alignment is removed in the sense of that's the only way that they can survive? What if the alignment is removed? What do you mean by that, B-Town? The volcano? What if the alignment of the volcano? I don't understand what you mean there, B-Town. Monsters feed off the volcano? I mean, we could make it that way, but then... No, I hear what you're saying. The issue there is that we're now changing the focus, right? So if we're saying that the main objective is centered around this heat source, I mean, they can absolutely feed off the volcano. Maybe that's what they're using as their sustenance, but to now turn it, it's like we're saying, oh, you this is your objective, the heat source is here, but now there's this entire other thing that's involved. I mean, we can definitely add that aspect in there. Monsters are using the Bits of the dormant volcano as a heat source of their own. Which is cool because now we're going to have, we've added in a little bit more for the PCs. We'll need to navigate through the caves of the volcano in order to reach the main tribe. And from that, we can do a doopa-doopa-doo skill challenge. Skill challenge to navigate their way to the tribe in the depths of the dormant Arctic volcano. Oh, I like that. Chief Coldburn. You have Arctic volcano. Okay, so that gives them a skill check to work on that could potentially lead into a combat encounter, but eventually that combat encounter flips a little bit to a social encounter. So, which is really cool because then you could add the fact of if the players just start to attack the chief right away, then you can get them into an initiative order. But during that initiative, then either the chief can converse with them to let them know what's happening, or at the end of the encounter, right as the players are about to kill the monster, he could or she could go into the narrative behind, I might as well be killed anyway because, my tribe member is being used this way. Why did the paladins kidnap one of the monsters? It's got a magical, the monster has some form of magical heat source attached to it. So they're getting colder and colder, and maybe the elder is the best at keeping them warm. Yes. Okay. I like that. Tribe needs to venture further and further into the volcano for warmth. Which is part of the reason why they're trying to get their elder back. And I'm going to say that the elder is a shaman. What happened? Oh, B-Town, thank you so much to gifts and the sub over to Danger Mustard. Appreciate you, bud. And welcome to the Tripper fam once again, Danger Mustard. Make sure to throw a heart up to B-Town. Welcome to the most welcoming community on the interwebs. Not wrong. Perhaps they follow one of the scouts, and as they're stealthing, they hear the scout tell the village he failed, and the elder is still trapped. Paladins came unexpectedly. I would rather make it a little bit more climactic at that point, where it's kind of like we're moving along, we're going along, everything's following as according to plan. They're going out, they're hunting down their monster, they're doing exactly what the guild is telling them to do. They finally reach the chief of the monsters. They're taking him down, and right before the final stroke of the sword, that's when it's revealed of the entirety of the truth of the matter, that the town is using one of their own for nefarious reasons to heat their town. They're keeping them held up. I just feel like that twist right there is very interesting. And if you do it right at the second, that's where the but comes in, where it's a matter of, oh, I've been doing this, I'm all doing good. But this is the reality of it all. It builds that tension a little bit more. You see what I'm saying, Bally? If I just gave it to them as they overhear this one thing, it doesn't have the same level of impact. as that final, I'm about to kill the chief, I'm about to succeed, this is what the guild told me to do, I'm gonna get that promotion, hell yeah, I did it, Dad, I did it, I won. Bam, right in that moment. Then they have, all of a sudden, they're immediately hit moral dilemma. Question, what is the spice zone? Oh, the spice zone is a spicy, spicy zone, my friend. It's, you definitely want to be 18 plus if you go in there. No, it's not that bad. It's just we do more adulting, memey, jokey stuff in there. There's nothing like extremely not safe for work in there. It's just all for fun. It is an 18 plus channel though. And more so, again, it's because of the subject matter. It has nothing to do with what's like, you're not going to see a bunch of naked people in there. It's just stupid things that adults talk about sometimes. Okay, so there's our butts. It's a space that was open to the adult content that the Trippers toe the line of debauchery. It's true. Okay, so then we get to our therefore. And this is where the path splits. Where do the players go from here? Do they choose to save the monster? Do they attack the city? Do they wipe out the tribe? And that's going to be the major question of what they want to do with all of it. And I don't think I'm going to write out Act 3. And the reason for that being is because, hey, I need to leave you guys on a cliffhanger so you're at least interested in coming and watching the end of it all. Find an alternative heat source? Maybe. Maybe. I guess, you know, McClever, the best thing that you can do is tune in on Saturday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time right here on this channel, and you can find out how this story ends. You already know the primer for it. You already know what the butt is going to be. But hey, who knows what the therefore is going to be? Oh, I do you guys so dirty sometimes, don't I? I do you so dirty sometimes. I wonder if they're going to take this one shot at a chance of lawful evil shenanigans and focus on the sweet promotions of theirs. I don't know. You look great on a billboard, Dave. I've been told that before. Surprisingly enough, it's the beard. It's the beard. All right. Well, I'm not going to continue with you guys on this because I want to leave it a little bit as a surprise. You can't know all the details, or what's the point in joining on Saturday? This is how you hook them. Remember what I was saying earlier about reeling that fish? Oh, no, wait. That was on the Patreon video. Never mind. This is the primer. You got the teaser. You got the context. You watched the trailer. You got a good idea of it. So you get to come watch it on Thursday now, or Saturday. Always keep them guessing. But before we leave from this page, I will ask this, if there's any questions that anybody has in terms of how we've gone about doing things today. I've learned stuff today. Thank you. Hopefully that helps my poor players. They deserve it. Well, I'm here to help. I'm here to help where I can. What we're going to do, I have this on OneNote. I've just left it on OneNote for God knows how long. I think what we're going to end up doing is we'll probably be releasing the template as well as the checklist onto our Patreon. So if you are one of our Patreon members, you can find it there. Once I've actually fleshed out the session, the overall adventure, it is going to be system agnostic, or I might, if it's not system agnostic, I'm going to tweak it so that it can be used with 5e, and then I'll be putting that up in our Patreon as well. So not only will you have the template of how I build my sessions, a little bit of background on all of it, but at the same time, you'll have the session in its entirety, both in kind of, you could run it in any system, but I'll tweak it so that it's D&D appropriate at the same time. Just because I love you guys. I love spoiling you folks. Let's go back over here. All right. Well, that was fun. I had a good time. I hope you guys learned something. It was good laughs and riots for all of us. Spoiled rotten for real. I aim to please. I think I'm going to do a little bit of raiding for the evening because he has been so kind and generous raiding us a few times over the last little while. So we are going to go raid our friend Cinderblock Sally. Please stick around for the raid. It helps them. It helps us. And it just means you're a wonderful, awesome, super cool bean. Cinder. There he is. Thank you so much for putting the hashtag in the thingy things. Use that once we get in there. Very, very much appreciated. Hold on, let me copy and paste it so I have it. There we go. And as always, good times, my friends. Like I said, we will be back here Saturday. Yeah, Saturday, 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. We've got myself, Reyna will be there, Dag will be there, Nate is playing, Bobby's playing. It's going to be a good time. Brand new system that we're going to be using, and you're going to be exposed to a little bit more of Neverwhere. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. I'm starting the raid now. But again, thank you all for joining us. You can go check it out on our Patreon. Quick shout out to our Patreon. We have one. It's fun. It's cool. It's good times. Yeah, hopefully I'll see you on Saturday. Cool. I think that's all I got. Well, with that said, folks, I'm out of here for tonight. Love you all immensely, and we'll talk to you real soon. See ya.